guys, it's Dandi. Happy New Year. It's the last day of 2018. I'm hoping to post this today. It's been a very long holiday season, so we're a little behind on videos. Master is up asleep right now. I'm just in my pajamas. I promised that I would do a video on overcoming your fear or about fear and slavery from Slavecraft, so that's what I have prepared for you. I did have a long conversation a few weeks ago with a good friend of mine about this topic, and I wrote a whole bunch of notes that I can't find. So I'm going to go from memory here, so I do apologize if this is a little confusing or unclear. I know my face is like horrible right now. Again, just woke up, so bear with me. Oh, and I have my new unicorn. This one Master Hook gave me for Christmas. This is Sheila. Isn't she cute? So anyways, let me get into this. So again, I'm looking at Slavecraft by Guy Baldwin and Patrick Khalifa. This one you can buy online. You can buy in your kinky bookstore. And the title is Slavecraft Roadmaps for Erotic Servitude. Principles, Skills, and Tools. I highly recommend this book. Even if you're a master or you're even just curious about slavery, really, really useful. So there is a whole essay 9 on page 117 about dealing with fear. And there's a lot of really great sections about this. I'll read a couple of quotes and then I will go into kind of my view on this. So one of the ones that I have highlighted here is that when you're going through, I'll just summarize it and read part of it. But when you're trying to figure out being in an MS relationship or being with a new master or mistress or new, M-type, sometimes these like thoughts come into your head, like, what if they chop me up? Or what if that's more of TPE, but like, what if, so this one's like, what if I get physically injured? What if I lose total control of myself? What if I surrender to the point where I lose my identity? What was my life as a slave going to look like? So when you have these desires, some of these things come up. I know for me, they did. I'm like, oh, well, I'm a very independent person, even though I want this kind of life. How is that going to work? Like, is that going to work? Like, I have these desires, but how is that like going to work? And really, really like thinking a lot about it and like the being in the anxiety and worry about that. Some other examples is, what if it is so much that I can't think of being anything else? What if I give myself to a quest for a master, but then I can't find the right one? And that was a thing for me for quite a while. I kept looking for someone. I was having a really hard time finding anybody that was matching. It's like, and the fear begins to paralyze us. We become frozen in the purgatory of indecision, living in neither hell nor heaven. As a song from a musical Omaha said, longing for someone but afraid to try. I let my golden chances pass me by. So I think there's a lot to dissect in this one. So again, and there's more about this I have to come, but society doesn't teach us to do this kind of thing. It doesn't treat it as okay. There's more and more people who are like kink aware and kink friendly, but in general, like serving somebody, and especially the term slave, there's a lot of historical pain and things around that term and around the concept of somebody else having control. Like, this is not a very PC, thing. In my opinion, as a feminist, I'm choosing my own path. So therefore it is feminist because I'm doing what I want to do, which is having somebody else be in control. So I that's my belief, but this is not a, a like cookie cutter thing or thing. I mean, some people fall more into like the 1950s category and can be observed that way. And people still would look at that as like traditional, right? But what the things that we're doing, we're not even just overcoming our fears about, is this going to be healthy? Am I going to find somebody who actually can manage me? Am I going to, all these normal human fears about being in a new relationship or trying a new thing. Or even if you've been in an MS before and it didn't work out, like, I don't know if I can give that much of myself to somebody and have it not work out. Like, the book is hinting at all these things and saying all these things. But the other big thing that the book talks about is like overcoming the societal part, which is what I was speaking about a minute ago, is like the fear is ingrained in us, right? We shouldn't let somebody else make our decisions. We shouldn't, we're women, especially if you're raised either any gender, but especially as a woman, like, we need to be empowered and take our power back. It's like, I don't want to have my power. I mean, I do, but like, I want to give it to somebody else. Like, that is the life that I'm choosing, as I said, for myself. I just totally dropped something of Master's. Oops. He's asleep right now, so I'm trying not to be super loud. But we're overcoming all the societal fears of how we were raised. So there's a lot of fear that is to be had on this topic. And again, like, if you have any thoughts or questions, let me know in the comments. But there's a lot of things to unpack here. So let me go a little deeper into the book. It says, the paradox of the would-be slave is to be an individual and a follower. The challenge is to find a way of being individualistic in our style of following. This is a huge one. So what this is, to me, is essentially saying is a part of being a slave is to be a follower and to follow a master or mistress or whoever, whatever title, honorific. But you also have to be yourself and have your own style of being yourself. And any great master or mistress will use your individual skills and your individual, like, high points to serve them. Examples of this is, I love to calendar things. I love to organize calendar. I love to, be excited about events. And so Master Hook is developed on Sundays. We go over budget. He has developed that I do a spreadsheet because I'm really stressed out about those things. And because that's one of my weak points, he has me do a budget of it. And then we go over it. And then I bring all these events that are potentials. I have my calendar up and we talk about it and he makes final decisions. That works for him and me because that's my strength. So any good master or mistress will take those strengths and use them to serve them. But again, it is a paradox because how do you be a follower and also be an individual? These are like two opposite concepts. But that's really the key, is being able to do both. And that can feel kind of overwhelming and paralyze you with fear too. Like, how do I do that? And that was, again, my fear coming into this relationship, was like, I have these desires, but like, how are these two things going to work? And yeah, in my experience, again, you just find somebody that is compatible enough that can really see you and work to your strengths and work on your weaknesses. So that's what I feel about that. And then there's a little portion about, the author is a gay male, so there's a little portion about, for males, there's another piece of social programming to overcome. It is the pressure to be a leader, to take charge, to strive for responsibility, or to use power, and to be successfully defined by society. This too must be overcome. This means to honor a career as a slave, one must need to turn one's back on the conventional definition of success. Whew, that's a lot too. Again, deconstructing societal's expectations of us. One of the things the book says, and one of the things that I believe is core identity when you're a slave, is slave. It doesn't mean you may not have kids, or you may not be a mom, or have a great job or do other things, but that's like your core identity. When you're serving somebody and you're really devoted to them, like, it, for me, is one of my core identities. I would say it's like my 50%. Then I have other little pieces of me. My job is like 10%. My relationship with my family and my spirituality is like maybe 20% of my identity. But yeah, I mean, what is success for you? If you have service in your heart, or receiving service, or guiding somebody in your heart, and that's your true passion and true love and makes you feel great, then your idea of success isn't going to be the same as some big corporate CEO. It's just not. So again, it's kind of like accepting these things and not being so paralyzed by the fear. That's kind of what this chapter is getting at, and what I wanted to say about fear, because a lot of it is like before you get in a dynamic, but some of it is during, like, oh my God, is this healthy? Oh my God, like, because of my anxiety, I overthink these things all the time and get so sucked into like, is this gonna work out? I'm gonna do a video in the future about future tripping of slaves, because that is a huge topic. And my face looks horrible, so I apologize. It's really gross. Yeah, so let's see. Here's another. It's always the slave's identity as slave primary, and all other identities come second. No career decision that could threaten the boy's slavery is tolerated by either. That's exactly what we were just talking about a second ago. But that is the primary identity. And then it does say, this is a great one, and here I have written, we are people, because we are people. We are our identities, but we are also people on top of everything. And that's why Master Hook's first rule is real world first, because you still got to pay your bills. If you have to work, you have to work. You have to eat. So a lot of people like fantasize it. Maybe some of the fear comes from the fantasizing of what that looks like, because being in it, like it is different than a normal relationship, and there are protocols and things, but it's not scary as I thought it would be. Like it's really intense, and I could argue that it's a spiritual path, but it's not as scary as, because I'm with the right type of person, but it's not as scary as I imagined. So a lot of my fear has subsided now that I'm in this. But here's another passage from the book. To survive the fear of slavery and move forward, it will be very helpful to get firmly grounded in reality. Reality. Spend some time searching out for a master and slave terms and try to discover how their lives really work. The more you do this, the more likely it is that you'll find many of your fears have no basis in reality. Exactly. To begin with, the world's a less dangerous place than you imagine. Many of us who pursue slavery do without serious trouble in our lives. We have real jobs, real families, we play cards, we go to movies, attend funerals, pay our taxes, shop for cat food, and think about a new car from time to time. All these things are absolutely correct. I think this is really important. Again, it is a structure of relationship, and it is a huge part of your life, but you're still a person. Like, just because you get into this kind of relationship doesn't mean your life's going to end, unless you end up, wanting to be in the type of relationship where you're locked in a room for days and days. And I would argue that that's not very healthy long term for anybody. But you're still going to have a life. You're still going to be you. Hopefully a better version of you. Anybody that really takes you on should want to make you better. Better! So, let's see here. And then there's another section here about dependent personality disorder. That is a whole nother video too. There is a lot of things that I can say about that. That's something to definitely look out for. Let's see. Yeah, that's the chapter. Those are the main points that I picked out of the chapter. I think that those are the most important parts of overcoming the fear in this book. There was another passage earlier on in the book, but it may take me a little while to find it. But yeah, I mean, fundamentally, it's the fear of overcoming your own fear. It's your own fear, societal fear, coming to terms with identity, and then coming to terms with the reality of the life and that you're a human. So I feel like there's a lot of stuff that we can unpack here. That's a lot that I've just talked. It's about 13 minutes now. I'll probably end in a second. But yeah, I hope that helped. That's my opinion, not an educator. I'm just me, just like you're you. But that was really helpful for me. If you realize the structure of those things that I just discussed, you kind of feel a little freer. You're like, oh, okay, that's less scary when I think about it that way. A lot of what you're overcoming is society and the way that you're raised. So, depending on how you're raised and where you were raised. So, that's all for now. I'm going to send you guys out with some unicorn kisses from Sheila. And Happy New Year. I'm going to probably try to turn the video off here. But Happy New Year, guys, if I don't record another video today. I may not. So, Happy New Year. Bye-bye.